ever felt like people were trying to almost warn you right out of life? I'm saying things like, the jack of all trades is the master of none, in their most ominous voice. And I actually want to talk a little bit more about that and that space where we go full tilt into what sounds good, but really we don't know the origins and it's all just BS. Here's the thing. The people mean well, but they are often in the space of warning us right out of life with some of the stuff that they say to us. So, hey, sunshine, I'm Dr. Donna Oriowo. I'm a sex and relationship therapist in the DMV area, the author of Drink Water and Mind Your Business, a Black woman's guide to unlearning the BS and healing self-esteem. And we're going to talk about this whole jack of all trades piece, but I want to relate it first to me. So if you don't know me, I am Dr. Donna. I already told you I'm a therapist and all that jazz. And where it comes right down to it, I feel like that quote and the way that it used to be thrown at me like a dart has been like the crux of where I find myself like, what am I doing? Should I be doing this? Does this make sense? Who does it make sense for? Blah, 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 right? Like you take the thing that someone gave you and then we create a narrative of how we get to live based off the thing that they told us. Now, where it comes to that, that's kind of why I was just like, you know what? Stop it. I was watching this video of this chick. Her name is Glow. I'm going to go ahead and link her in the comments and or in the description. And Glow was just like, post every day to YouTube. And I was just like, dun, dun, dun. No. I was like, no. It was like an immediate no. But not really an immediate no. It was a second no. The first thing was like, oh, that would be interesting. I wonder what that would be like. And the second one was like, no. So I got scared and I had I had a bad case of the bitch assness. And it took me a little while to actually get over it. So there are also a couple other videos that I've recorded that was going to be for it. And then I was just like, nope, I'm not doing that. And then you'll see those things later. The point is this Daily Donna is because Glow said do it every day and see what happens. So I am in the place of just doing it every day and seeing what happens, which brings me back to a jack of all trades and how it feels like, I guess, a warning. The way that people behave, they say jack of all trades, jack of all trades. Every time somebody wants to do something and it's a little bit different than maybe what you know them for, we say jack of all trades, jack of all trades. Like, oh, if you're a jack of all trades, you'll be a master of none, right? Like a jack of all trades is a master of none. People will say it all the time and they'll find sometimes more insidious ways to say it. Some people have used the actual quote at me, but mostly it's like, hey, you need to focus. You got to do the one thing. What's the one thing that you really want to do? If you do multiple things, then you'll confuse the audience is usually what they say. And I have been sitting in that. I'm looking like, can you confuse? And I'm like, they're not stupid. How would I have confused them? Right? And I think they are well-meaning. And I'm not even saying that they're not correct, right? Because sometimes, you got to have something established and ready and Gucci down before you can go in to doing something else. And yet, what I find is that the jack of all trades feels like a warning, right? And it feels like a warning almost against living life, right? Because the jack of all trades quote, like the jack of all trades is the master of none, is all about what you're doing. But I'm not trying to do, I'm trying to be. I am a human being. I am not a human doing. And if I think of myself as a human doing, then the idea of being a jack of all trades is a master of none makes sense for me. Now, qualifying words matter here. So the for me should be in parentheses after anything that you hear me say. For me, right? For most things that you hear me say, for me. Otherwise, I'm going to say research dictates, right? But the for me is important here because I recognize that for some people, doing one thing makes sense, but I don't. There's other stuff going on outside. One thing at a time for some people does not actually work. And that quote is so often misused, it's not even funny. The full quote is not "Jack of all trades is a master of none." That's not where it starts. A jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. One. Which means that people are using that quote and it means the exact opposite of the way that we're using it, which happens quite a lot. Actually, there are a lot of quotes that people will tell you, that people will say to you, that, like these little isms, right, that people will say as though that's what it means. That's not what it means. You took half a quote, discarded the rest, and then beat people over the head with the first part, that a jack of all trades is a master of none. But doesn't it change then, right? Like, in my head, it changes. When I hear jack of all trades is a master of none, it sounds like a warning. When I hear the full quote, jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one, what I then hear is an invitation, which means that this, the Daily Donna, is going to be your invitation and an invitation for me. For you, the invitation is that we get to have a daily dose of Donna, right? We get to have the Daily Donna. We get to talk about the things that I often want to talk about, but I don't know where it fits. And because low key, high key, some things are not intended to be a 3-minute conversation, right? They need to be something with a little bit more depth, with maybe some research, journals or something like that included as part of the conversation, for it to be a little bit more ongoing, to be a little bit more in depth, and for it to be able to sustain as though a conversation as opposed to a one-time thing, because growth happens daily. The thing that we believe on day one may not be what we believe or even what we think on day 3 or day 5 or day 10. And yet, when people ask us to, in some ways, tell us that jack of all trades is master of none, they're saying master something, which I agree with. Yes, master something, but they often, sometimes, cutting us off at the knees of the part of being, because we're so busy trying to do. And I'm switching it up. I'm trying to be. So for me, where it comes to the full quote sounds like an invitation. And I wonder, when you have heard sort of like the jack of all trades is a master of none, what warning was it offering you? Or was it even offering you a warning, right? For you, maybe it served as an invitation to focus on one thing. For me, it serves as an invitation to be everything that I am, right? I am a therapist. I am a speaker. I am an author. I'm kind of goofy, right? Like, I wouldn't say I'm funny, ha ha, not really. But I'm insulting funny, which some people can find to be ha ha. I and I wonder about how much we stop ourselves from being everything that we can be, from showing up as we are, because we're supposed to be this one thing and fit into this one slice, to just do the one thing, right? Like, some people say, just do therapy. And I'm like, well, therapy is a thing that I do, but it is not who I am. And low key, high key, I think that a lot of us have, in some ways, and it may be in completely different words, this idea of a jack of all trades is a master of none. I think we have it in our heads, and it curbs what we do. We believe that we can't have the fullness of our lives because we have to only show the slice, because we want to be that thing. And while I'm not saying it that you will or won't be consistent, I think what I'm saying here is that a slice, Mamanda Ngozi once said to be wary of a single story, right? And in her, that is a long time ago TED Talk, the idea of the dangers of a single story, I think it is still so important and so pertinent today, because I think that so many of us, we are seeing a single story. We see a portion, a slice, a piece of a person's life. We see their mastery. And I think that we forget all the things that they have been a jack of that helped them to master it. I've been jacking it up. I've been doing all types of things all my life. And no one has ever said I jacked it up. They said I did it, right? But somehow, where it comes to me wanting to do for me and not in service to others, suddenly it's nisuru or slow down, wait, right? Just do one thing, just focus on one thing. And I'm just like, what happened to the comma at a time, right? Like maybe try not reading while you're eating. Maybe just eat your food. Maybe just read your book. That I could get behind. But something about these periods where we have these long periods of living life where or of doing a thing, they'll say things like just do therapy, right? Someone said, like just do school. And I think about the just do insert blank, and I also get to thinking about power and who has the power and the privilege to just do the one thing. For us to tell someone that you ain't it if you are doing more than the one thing. Like, quite frankly, so because right now we're in my word vomit, um, it reminds me of. So I am the product of two immigrant parents, Nigerians, who are now U.S. citizens. I feel the need to say that because of the times we live in. But my parents, when they immigrated to this country in the 80s, they were told that they should not teach my siblings and I Yoruba, which is their home language. They were taught not to teach it. That if they taught it to us, it would confuse our brains, and that in confusing us, we would have a hard time learning English and a hard time learning Yoruba. And so we would be behind in our education. And for people with education as a very strong value, the idea that they could do something that would mess us up in that regard, that was a whole hell no. It was no, we definitely don't want to do that. So we won't teach them Yoruba. We'll only stick to English. And so they did. And here I am at the grown age of almost where I am, feeling like if the what? I just excuse me. How did you allow someone who couldn't even be bothered to know more tell you this, right? And maybe it's the research at the time, right? Because when you know what you know, and you don't know what you don't know until you know it. But wow, if they had disregarded this person's idea of what could be or what should be, I would already be bilingual instead of struggling at it in my 30s, in my over 35-year-old self. And I think about all the people who, in some ways, I want to say like in schools growing up, they had the students that were in like ESOL, English as a second language. At least out here, I don't know what they might have called it where you're from. So if you have a different name for it, please let me know because I want to know what they called the students when you were growing up and when you were in school. And the problem with ESOL is that they made them seem like, quite frankly, and they made them seem like they were substandard, not in their mastery of the English language, but in their mastery of their brains, period. They made them seem like they were the slow class, right? Like they were the people that didn't know anything, instead of that they knew something else that was equal to what we know. They knew a very different way of communicating, and they simply needed to also learn this thing. And quite frankly, I resent it. I resent that there's this idea that you can't have both without being diminished as being somehow less than, right? That you must concentrate on one, where when the non-concentration, right? Like when doing the things that you are passionate about is on rich white men or on white men in general, we call it Renaissance. Like some of your favorite Renaissance masters. And this is something that my cousin told me. I remember we were walking. She at the time was living in Jersey City. We're walking back from the mall, and she was asking me something about like what was distressing me at that moment. And this was when I was in grad school. And I was just like, well, you know what they say, a jack of all trades is the master of none. And she touched me on my shoulder, had me look at her, it was just like, that's not the whole thing. And I didn't know what she was talking about. I was just like, I don't want to be a jack of all trades because and I felt it in my soul, right? Like this, there's so many things that I want to do and that I feel like I'm called to do and like I have some talent for, right? You know, got a little bit of talent and some things that I simply want to explore. Um, but I was stopping myself from exploring because someone else had said master of none, right? That a jack of all, that this was the thing that was stuck in my head. And it was my cousin who introduced me to the full quote to say, is oftentimes better than a master of one. What are and she asked me, what are the things that you want to be? And that is the thing that opened me up to the possibilities that I could be more than one thing, that it didn't have to be what someone else told me, that it could be more expansive. And I realized that we spend a lot of our times waiting, a lot of our lives waiting on permission, waiting on someone else to tell us that it is okay to be something more, to do something more, to expand. And in case you were waiting, here's your permission. Do it. Do that. Put that thing on. Try that thing out. Go out there and make that mistake and see what it brings you, right? Like just give it a go. See how it feels. And that's me with the Daily Donna. It's me seeing how it feels. I have in some ways, and maybe even come complacent in that I've mastered the 2 minute, 3 minute video, right? And I realize that most of what I want to say will never be conveyed in a 3 minute video. And so I started to become disenchanted, as it were, with social media. I know I can post longer videos, but the algorithm does not like you when you do. So it became a thing. Um, and on occasion you may hear me call it algorithm. um, but this frees me to various opportunities. Instead of Donna the human doing, I get to change it to Donna the human being, because it is a full invitation to not just do the one thing until I have mastery, but to allow myself to be. And the human being that I am is one that wants to try various things, see if I can get better at that thing. And even if I don't, to enjoy the ride of it. So, with that in mind, I want to know, what is something that someone told you, hey, you got to do the one thing, master this one thing? What are those other secret things that you've also been maybe wanting to try that you feel like you haven't been allowed to? And tell me how you feel about this quote being a little bit more expanded, that a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. Tell me some of the stuff that you have been a jack trading it in with. Let me know some of the things that you've been able to do. And I'll tell you three things right now. I knit. I knitted a blanket. I picked back up knitting maybe a week or two ago, and I got fully focused on it and couldn't let it go. So I made my first blanket. It took me about a day. It's a ragamuffin. Maybe I'll put a picture, but it's a ragamuffin looking blanket. My second attempt was for my sister, and it looked so much better than my very first attempt. And now I'm just waiting on my other sisters to come up with some more yarn so a girl could get to work. I want to knit, but I don't want to knit on my own dime. So that's one thing I'm good at. Another thing I'm good at academic writing. So non-academic writing it has been a long learning process for me. And now I find myself wanting to get back into academic writing, which is hilarious. I could braid a little bit. I could do a cornrow or two. I used to make a little bit of money off that when I was in college. So those are three things that I can do that are outside of what I do for work. So I'm a therapist. I'm a therapist and knitter. I'm a therapist and writer. I'm a therapist and maybe general bullshitter. So tell me about you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.